Algebra 1, test number 13. It's our study guide. We're solving inequalities. Number 1, 14 plus 10n is greater than or equal to 8 times n plus 14. First thing you need to do is distribute. 8 times n is 8n. 8 times 14, you can do this one way. 8 times 10 is 80, and 8 times 4 is 32. So 80 plus 32 is 112. So plus 112. And we didn't do anything to the left side, so there's no reason to even consider reversing the sign or anything. Now put all your n's on the left side by subtracting 8n on both sides. Do the same thing to the other side. Leaves you with 2n there. It's positive, so it's 14 plus that is greater than or equal. 8n minus 8n will cancel out, so it's greater than or equal to positive 112. You have 2n on the left, so move positive 14 over to the right side by subtracting it. And do the same thing here. Leaves you with That leaves you with 98 on the left side. So you have 2n is greater than or equal to 98. Undo 2 times something by dividing by 2 on both sides. And n is left on the left. 98 divided by 2, you know 2 goes into 9 4 times, and there's 1 left over, so 2 goes into 18 9 times, so 49. You divided, but it was by a positive number, so you do not reverse the sign. It remains as greater than or equal to. 2 plus 8b is greater than or equal to 6 times b plus 2. Again, the same thing. Distribute. 6 times b is 6b, and 6 times 2 is plus 12. So 2 plus 8b is greater than or equal to that. Move your b's to the same side by subtracting 6b on both sides. It leaves you with 2b on the left. So 2 plus 2b is greater than or equal to 12. Then move positive 2 to the left side by subtracting it. You have 2b is greater than or equal to 10. And then get b by itself by dividing by 2 on both sides. So b and 5, you don't have to reverse the symbol again because you divided by a positive number greater than or equal to 5. You don't have to distribute this time. Just move your move your w as your smaller one over to the larger one side. Subtract 14w on the left and subtract it on the right hand side. That leaves you with 1w plus 14. 1w plus 14. So negative 10 is less than or equal to that. You have plus 14, so undo that by subtracting it. Do the same thing here. You have negative 24 is less than or equal to w. If you wanted to rewrite that, you could. Just bring your w here and your negative 24 there. And make sure the point stays on the same side. It stays on the negative 24 side. What number would you subtract from each side of the inequality to solve c plus 6 over 7 is greater than 20? Notice what it says. What number would you subtract? You would not subtract negative 6 over 7. Not that. You just subtract 6 over 7. So you'd answer that as subtracting 6 over 7. So when you see that on the test tomorrow, you wouldn't subtract negative 6 over 7. It's not minus minus. It's just ask what number would you subtract. So you're just talking about the number itself. Suppose you had $D in the bank. You spent $8, but you have at least $47 left. How much money did you have initially? Well, you had $D in the bank. You spent 8, so when you spend something, that means to subtract 8, so minus 8. And you have at least $47. At least means greater than or equal to. So there's your inequality right there. D minus 8 is greater than or equal to 47. Undo minus 8 on both sides. And D is greater than or equal to 55. Your class hopes to collect at least 475 cans of food for the annual food drive. There were 133 and then 144 donated weeks 1 and 2. Write an inequality that describes the situation. Well, 133 plus 144, that's week 1 and week 2. It said let C represent the number of cans that must be collected the third week, so plus C. So this is saying week 1 plus week 2 plus week 3. It says hope to at least 475. So we hope together those three are going to be greater than or equal to 475. So when you put 133 and 144 together, put 133 and 144 together, you get 277 plus C is greater than or equal to 475. And then get rid of positive 277 by subtracting it. Subtract 277 from the other side. C is greater than or equal to 198. So that's saying in the third week, they need to collect at least 198 cans in order to meet their goal of at least 475. French Club is sponsoring a bake sale. They want to raise 100. They want to raise at least. There it is again. At least. So at least $120. How many pastries must they sell at $250? I'm sorry, $2.50 each. So $2.50 times X. Each means for each one, $2.50. So there's your inequality. 250 times X is greater than or equal to 120 divided by 250, which is the same thing as 2.5. Do the other side by 250. And 120 divided by 250, x is greater than or equal to, there's no reason to reverse the sign since it's positive numbers you're dividing by, 48. Graphing these inequalities. Remember, you always want to show the numbers relation to 0. They showed where it's going to be positive or negative. This is a positive 4, so positive 4 will be on that side. It says less than, so it doesn't say or equal to, so it's an open bubble. Less than, everything that direction. Less than or equal to, this one's -1, so here we have it as -1s. It's on the left side of 0. Or equal to means color the bubble in. Less than means everything that direction. Greater than or equal to 2, again positive, so it's on this side. Bubbles colored in. Greater than means everything that direction. Okay, so you have x and you have -8, because that's the number that's highlighted, -8. You have to determine what do you put inside of that. Well, we have the x first, so we're going to write it just the way you see it. It's shaded, everything shaded that way, which means it's going to go that way. X is less than -8, or numbers that are smaller than. You have to determine, is that bubble colored in or not? We can see that it's an open bubble. Had it been colored in, we'd put or equal to underneath it, but since it's not, this is our inequality. Write an inequality in the model. A number exceeds 70. So if you exceed the speed limit of 70, you'll get a ticket. So X is greater than 70, because if you go 70 miles an hour, that's not exceeding, you will not get a ticket. So exceeds mean greater than, not greater than or equal to. Solving these equations, two-step equations. Move your x's to the same side. Subtract the smaller x from the larger one. That leaves you with x plus 9 equals 3. And then move the constants to the other side. Subtract 9 on both sides, and x equals -6. Move 12 over by subtracting 12. Do the same thing here. -12 is 7 equals -d, which is the same thing as -1 times d. Undo that by dividing by -1. Do likewise here. And d equals a positive divided by negative is a -7. Distribute. 6 times y is 6y. 6 times 5 is plus 30. Equals 54. Get rid of plus 54, plus 30 by subtracting it. Do likewise here, and leaves you with 24 on that side. So 6y equals 24. Then get rid of 6 times something by dividing by 6 on both sides. Y equals 4. Undo -18 here by adding 18. If you add 18 to that side, add it to this side, leaves you with -9 on that side. So you have 3 times p over 4 equals that. Undo divide by 4 by multiplying both sides by 4. There we go. Times 4. So that'll cancel it out and leaves you with 3p there equals positive times a negative is a -36. Then get rid of 3 times something by dividing by 3 on both sides. And p is -12. You could have saved yourself a step by separating 3p over 4 into 3/4 p and multiplying by the reciprocal, but we still get to the same answer. P is -12. We have one-step inequalities here. Get rid of -4 by adding it. Do likewise here. It leaves you with -6. You don't change the inequality symbol, though, because all you did was the addition property of inequality. So 0, it's -6, so it's on this side, a colored bubble. Less than's everything that way. plus 5, undo that by subtracting it. Do it here as well. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. You don't reverse the symbol again because you're subtracting. It's just subtraction property. No, nothing about multiplication or division, nothing about negative numbers. So it's negative 1, so 0 and negative 1 again. Greater than means an open bubble since it's not or equal to and everything that way. This says x divided by 9. Undo divide by 9 by multiplying by 9. Do the same thing here. 2 times 9 is 18. So you have x and you have 18. You multiplied this time, but it was by positive numbers. So again, you do not reverse the symbol. It's positive 18. It's not or equal to, so the bubble's open. Greater than means everything that way. So now you have negative x over 4. Here's one we looked at like this yesterday. Remember, negative x over 4, the negative can either be at the top or the bottom. It helps you. It actually saves you a step if you look at it as x over negative 4. But if you don't, if you put the negative at the top, you'll just have one extra step at the end. So in order to undo this one, it says divide by negative 4. You multiply by negative 4. Do likewise to this side. 1 times negative 4 is going to be negative 4, and you have x by itself. But now you multiplied by a negative number, unlike the other ones. So less than or equal to reverses and becomes greater than or equal to negative 4. So 0, you have negative 4 on that side. Greater than or equal to means color it in. Greater than means go that way. Again, same thing. You can put the positive at the top or the bottom. It's not going to make a difference in this case, though, because this is a fraction multiplying by it. So in order to save yourself a step, multiply by its reciprocal, negative 11 over 5. Do the same thing to this side. Multiply by negative 11 over 5. This is the same thing as over 1. On the left side, it cancels and leaves you with just s. But we're multiplying by negative numbers, so less than or equal to reverses and becomes greater than or equal to. We can cross cancel to save ourselves a little bit here. 5 goes into itself once and into 24 times. So when you multiply straight across, 4 times negative 11 is negative 44. And it would be over 1 times 1, which would be over 1. Not necessary to write that. So 0 and negative 44. Greater than or equal to means color the bubble in and go to the greater than side on the right. X divided by 4, undo that by multiplying by 4. Do likewise to the other side. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. And we have x on the left, but we multiplied both sides by positive numbers, the multiplication property of inequality, but they were both by positive numbers. The fact that this one's negative and it comes out to be negative 12 is irrelevant. You leave the inequality symbol alone, greater than or equal to, just like it is. So it's 0 because it's talking about negative 12, greater than or equal to means color it in and go that way. Get rid of 6 times something by dividing by 6. Do it on this side. Negative divided by positive is a negative 1. So you have x and negative 1. Again, the fact that it's negative doesn't matter. You divided each side by positive. So leave the inequality symbol alone, greater than or equal to. So 0 and negative 1. Colored in bubble, everything that way. Divide by negative 8. Do it over here too. Negative divided by negative is a positive 2. So you have x and you have positive 2. This time, however, you did divide by a negative number on both sides. So less than is going to become greater than. X is greater than 2. Positive 2 is here. Not or equal to, so it's an open bubble, and greater than is everything to the right.